Today saw two Canadians get the start for their clubs in the opening matches in their respective leagues, with Los Lille's Jonathan David getting the start up top in their 1-1 draw against OGC Nice, as there seems to be so much more speculation around him joining Tottenham. He still got the start. As well, in the Premier League, seeing Luca Koleosho, a Canada dual national, get the start for Burnley Football Club, one of their most recent signings, against the reigning champions in Manchester City, as they did fall at Turf Moor 3-0 in the opening match of the Premier League. It's been a very exciting day in the world of Canada football so far, guys, so welcome back to On the Rise, where we'll be breaking down everything in Canadian football today around the men's national team. There wasn't, of course, as much as yesterday, but still some exciting news around today for Canadian football. And we got to kick it off with our dual national in Luca Koleosho. Luca Koleosho, the 18-year-old Canadian, Italian, US winger, whatever you want to nationalize him at the time being until he gets fully captied. Luca Koleosho got his first ever senior cap today. Not just his first cap in the Premier League, not just his debut in the Premier League. Luca Koleosho got his first ever senior cap for Burnley. Vincent Kompany threw him into the fire to see how good he'd play. He even talked about him in his press conference before the match. And for me, Luca Koleosho did very good. He had a very good early first 20 minutes to kick off the match for Burnley. And he was one of the shining lights, you could say, for Burnley Football Club in today's match. Burnley overall weren't too bad, even though the score doesn't reflect too great against them. But Luca Koleosho still managed to go 61 minutes for Burnley. And the fact that he was one of the first names in the team sheet getting a start for Burnley in the opening game of the Premier League for a young 18-year-old speaks of volumes. And currently, I know he is, I guess, partially cap-tied to Italy, not really. But he is still available and eligible for Canada for the Canadian national team. And he is also eligible to suit up and switch to the US mentee as well. Right now, for me, it's probably going Italy, Canada, USA, but it could sway any different direction for Luca Koleosho. You look at how Luca Koleosho came to the Canada camp, and then the whole debacle broke down around the Iran game, and so much more, and that could turn him off, but you never know. It could even be an enticing factor. I never really thought about this until a couple minutes ago. Luca Koleosho could become one of the first Canadians to step foot in the Premier League. Yes, we've had Junior Hoylett. We've had some other players who stepped foot in the for Canadians in the Premier League, but none as hyped up, as big as Luca Koleosho. Luca Koleosho could become that Canadian that makes a huge name for himself. Look at so many Americans in the Premier League. Tim Howard, Landon Donovan, Clint Dempsey. I'm not saying Luca's going to hit to those levels, but the fact that an 18-year-old winger is being backed by a very exciting, up-and-coming, brilliant manager in Vincent Kompany, and I won't be saying that for many Man City ex-players because I'm, of course, a United fan. It is a huge thing. The fact that Luca's been backed so heavily here by Vincent Kompany to just get the start at the age of 18, his first ever senior appearance, it speaks volumes here. And if he wants to go out there and become that first ever big thing for Canada in the Premier League, that could be an enticing pitch towards him. And that could be a really big factor to getting him to be Canadian. I'm not saying that's going to be the biggest thing, but of course, having links to the Italian national team and starting in the Premier League at 18 years of age, it can really sway a player, especially with what Canada is doing right now financially. Luca Koleosho is probably looking at that, but also there was a tweet coming out showing what Luca Koleosho's agent was talking about, and Luca Koleosho's agent also said, I'm not sure if this is 100% legit, real, let me know in the comments if you truly know if it's legit or real, but Luca Koleosho's agent on Twitter, there was a conversation leaked about him saying Luca Koleosho is truly open to everything. So who knows? That really does speak volumes. He could be open to Canada still. He could be open to US, Italy. He has three teams on the market for him. You don't know who is really pushing the hardest to go and get Luca Koleosho, but the fact an 18-year-old teenager is getting his first senior cap in the Premier League in one of the biggest matches you get all season against Manchester City at home at Turf Moor, it's a situation where you hold yourself back and say, wait. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We got one of the best federations and arguably international historic footballing sides in Italy after Luca Koleosho. So it's going to be a very interesting race to see who can land Luca Koleosho. But for me, I saw people talking about on Twitter and a couple accounts out there saying this could become a bigger loss than Fikayo Tomori. But I really can't get on board with that take. That is an extremely hot take. Fikayo Tomori, losing him for Canada is one of the biggest things we will have in our federation, really. You look at what Fikayo Tomori would have done for the Canadian men's national team. You suit him alongside Stephen Vittoria in the back line. You play a back four with Alphonso Davies and Alistair Johnston, and that team is just transformed. Yes, Luca Koleosho could transform our national side, but you look at our team right now. Is Luca Koleosho a player that jumps into the team and you're like, wow, he changes us immediately? For me, not really. Like, I can see how he could transform us and take us to another level and another step up. Switch to a 4-3-3, play him on the wing. You have Tajon Buchanan, you have Alphonso Davies, some incredible pace and some exciting dribbling. But he's not a player who can change a national team like a Fikayo Tomori could for Canada per se. So I'm not on board with that hot take of losing Koleosho could be a bigger loss than Fikayo Tomori. But losing Koleosho would be a massive blow. A player who's 18 years of age, doing great work in the Premier League against the reigning champions, it would be a huge loss. But moving on to the other Canadian who was in action today was Los Lille's Jonathan David. And Jonathan David has a lot to talk around him today, of course, with Tottenham Hotspur unofficially, selling Harry Kane. Harry Kane has been given the "here we go" by Fabrizio Romano. So basically that is the unofficial per se. You're sold, you're out the door, and it's done. Once Fabrizio Romano sticks that "here we go" tag on you, we know it's over. Fabrizio Romano doesn't use that for things unless he's 100% certain. If there's that 0.001% chance it's not going to happen, Fabrizio ain't sticking that "here we go" on it. So Harry Kane is moving to Bayern Munich. I know you can say wait till the jersey's held up and all that stuff, all that fun pictures and media day stuff, but it looks like Harry Kane's pushing to try and be involved in that match against Leipzig this weekend. So it'll be very interesting to see. But why we're talking about Harry Kane so much is because Tottenham Hotspur's replacement might just be our Canadian star in Jonathan David. And Jonathan David suited up against OGC Nice today, where they finished 1-1. And Los Lille left it late, picking up a 94th minute equalizer. But you could ask, how good was Jonathan David in this match? Well, rating-wise, I know I can say stats don't prove the whole thing. Stats don't show you everything. But in this game, looking at what's behind Jonathan David finished the game on the least amount of touches out of any player on the football pitch. You can talk about his movement, you can talk about everything around that, but Jonathan David's movement, we know how much he likes to move off the ball and try to create and try and find himself on the ball, find himself in a tight pocket, or like to look for link-up play. But Jonathan David finished this game on 25 touches, and he played the entire 90 minutes, going the full distance. The fact that he only had 25 touches speaks volumes to the creativity and the playing through the lines of this Los Lille side. The fact that this side was only able to give their number 9 and their star player 25 touches is unbelievably disgusting. You can't be doing that when you have such a goal scorer and an elite attacker like Jonathan David. So it's absolutely hilarious and laughable to see he only got 25 touches and he had the least amount of touches through anybody on the football pitch today against OGC Nice. Yes, this is a very good OGC Nice side who have made great signings in Jeremy Boga. They have Kevin Thuram in the midfield, brought in Morgan Sanson. Todibo's still there. A couple players who could still leave. But they have nobody outside Jonathan David who can create for him. This is a very depleted Los Lille side, and you can't take a heck of a lot out of that from Jonathan David not scoring. Look at who's behind him. Haraldson, Remy Cabella. And Remy Cabella, Yes, he's a good attacking number 10, but he's nothing to scream out for. He's no Jonathan Bamba like Jonathan David had last season. So Jonathan David finished on a 6.9 rating, least amount of touches through anybody on the pitch through the 90 minutes, and he played the full 90. Outside of the likes of Cabella, Haraldson, Virginius, who were the three attackers behind them, getting subbed off in the 67th, 80th, and 81st, and they still managed more touches than him. It's truly outstanding, and I don't know how they lack that creativity so much in the final third, but it's very intriguing to see. But like I said, Harry Kane got given that here we go by Fabrizio Romano earlier today. As Harry Kane's looking to complete those medicals, it is looking like Tottenham Hotspur are pushing and are looking. Of course, there's been no concrete information that they're looking into Jonathan David, but it's quite obvious that Jonathan David's been on the radar for Tottenham Hotspur for some time. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in these next week or couple of days for Tottenham Hotspur and who they're going to pursue. I'm sure we'll find out in the next day or so, especially once Harry Kane is sold. I'm sure we'll know immediately who their number one target is, who they're going to move for, and who they're going to get it done quickly with. I know you can say they could run with Richarlison, but you can't have one striker all season. As a Manchester United fan, I have known that. I have seen it from time and time again. And you can't have a striker who goes and scores you 30 goals and switch to a player last season, Richarlison, who scored you 1 goal. It's just chalk and cheese. You can't be doing that. So it's quite obvious they're going to go for a number 9. It's just going to be at what quality, at what level, who are they going to pursue. I know they're not going to go for Victor Osimhen. That's just obvious. They don't have that kind of money that Napoli is demanding. Osimhen ain't going to leave at this time of the season. Jonathan David is really that man that Tottenham has to look for. Gonçalo Ramos has moved. Unless they really want to pursue maybe a Joao Felix, that's the only player who I can see that might scream out to them outside of Jonathan David. But it's going to be a very interesting couple days for a Canadian perspective to see what happens with this Tottenham Hotspur Jonathan David situation. I'm sure he is the man that they're going to look at, but it's just going to be how much Lost Lille are going to be stupid and persist to ask for. Let me know what you guys thought of Luca Koleosho, our Canamity dual national, and let me know what you guys think of Jonathan David going to Tottenham Hotspur and how he fared against Lost Lille today. Drop it down in the comments. Make sure to hit that sub button. We're almost at 160. And hit that like button. And I'll see you guys for the next one, because there's a lot of Canadian action tomorrow. Peace.